It's time to get sporty on Y254. My name is Maxwel Wasike, and yesterday Football Kenya Federation suffered a huge blow over the composition of Kenyan Premier League after the High Court led by Justice John Mativo overturned a decision to have 18 teams participating in top tier, that is Kenyan Premier League, contrary to 16-team format, saying that according to a memorandum of understanding signed by former FKF President Sam Nyamweya, the teams to take part in the league are supposed to be 16 up to 2020 from 2017. I have James Magai, Deputy President of Sports Journalists Association of Kenya and Writing for the People, one of the affiliate of Media Max, joining me on site to dissect about the same. James Magai, good to have you. How have you been?
I've been all right, Max. Thanks for having me.
What do you think? Of course, 2 teams were relegated. That is KCB and Nakuru All Stars. 4 teams were promoted in the year. Zuke, Richo, Nakumat and Kariobangi Sharks. What does this mean for Nakumat FC and Zuke Richo, which were promoted owing to, CAF licensing requirements, which also quashed by the court?
Well, it places the Kenyan football scene in a conundrum, sort of, because while a court of law has ruled that the league should revert to 16 teams, we already have an ongoing 18-team league with only 9 rounds left. The stakeholders must come, sit down, and agree on how to trudge forward with the ruling. Football Kenya Federation sold, it's like the biblical firstborn son who sold his birthright to the younger boy when Sam Nyamweya put pen to paper on that contract. That contract gave KPL veto power on anything concerning the top tier Kenyan Premier League. So by the Sports Dispute and Tribunal overturning, or rather ruling in favor of FKF to expand the league, it was actually a violation of the contract. And we might have another suit if, for instance, the 18 teams take part in the league. Somebody may go to court to stop the league currently as it is. And I also expect to see contests going back to the court concerning the relegation. Because as it were, for Kenyan Premier League to comply with the court decision, Justice Mativo's decision, it means 4 teams need to be relegated and 2 promoted, so as to balance to return the league to 16-team format.
And in a rejoinder, we've seen Football Kenya Federation hinting that they will go to court to seek justice and probably to have that case, reversed and the court verdict rescinded. Do you think in the efforts to seek justice in the Court of Appeal, the efforts want to get materialized? Well,
it all depends on what Kenyan Premier League wants. They have a binding contract, which the tribunal breached unlawfully. A contract is binding, and KPL were mandated rightfully by that contract to run a 16-team league until 2020 November. So when the Sports Dispute Tribunal, in its ruling, acknowledged that not even a court of law can trash that contract, but all the same went further and said FKF should have their way. That left so many things, so many gray areas. That ruling had so many gray areas, and that is what FKF capitalized on and intimidated KPL using FIFA and their authority to increase the league. But legally, KPL are supposed to run a 16-team league.
Now, CAF licensing requirements was a move that was pushed and advocated for by the Football Kenya Federation, led by its president, Nick Mwendwa, seeking, to professionalize our top tier, that is Kenyan Premier League, and even nationwide leagues in the name of National Super League and other lower tier leagues. What do you think about the quashing of CAF licensing requirements by the High Court? Does it mean that, teams that survived by a whisker taking part in top tier, that is Moroni Youth Football Club and Sofapaka, now are vindicated and are justified to take part in the Kenyan Premier League?
Well, first of all, the CAF club licensing rules were supposed to be implemented in stages. And they are supposed to strengthen the leagues, not to kill teams. Having said that, there are teams that met the requirement, like Chemeli Sugar. But currently, they've not paid their salaries. Their players have not earned their salaries for 4 months. Yet, they met all the requirements of CAF club licensing rules. So it's just a political...
What are you trying to mean? That some teams were unanimously approved to have met CAF licensing requirements dubiously? Because it stipulated a raft of conditions and ultimatums that were to be met by teams to be eligible to take part in top tier.
First, there were financial guarantees that a club must have had, and clubs like Chemeli had the guarantees. Yet they have not paid players for 4 months. Nakumatt FC had a very healthy bank account balance and met the licensing rules. Yet they are struggling to cope.
Maybe due to whatever they are going through, the economic crunch they are going through, courtesy of their main sponsor?
Well, that means the CAF licensing rules are not really cogent, in that they let the football club depend on somebody else, a different entity, while it should help a club be self-sustaining. It means if the supermarket chain of Nakumatt goes under, the club goes under. While a football club should be able to stand on its own. A football club should be able to do its own business without having to depend on a different body. So the club licensing rules, somehow they don't really address our problems as Kenya and the Kenyan clubs.
Spotlight on Sports is the segment on Y in the morning. Of course, this is Y254. My name is Maxwel Wasike. Keeping it cool and easy as usual. And remember, you can be part of the show. Join us on our social media handles at Wasike Maxwel, at Spotlight on Sports. That's the hashtag. What do you think? What's your verdict with regards to the High Court ruling, quashing and overturning this 18 league format as it is currently, contrary to 16 league formation, saying that according to memorandum of understanding signed by Football Kenya Federation previously, that is Sam Nyamwea, it stipulated that 16 teams had to take part in top tier from 2017 to 2020, and that means that our football now is in limbo. If a word from sports pundit is anything to go by, and James Magai is just joining me right now to give his in-depth analysis and position with regards to that particular move. James Magai, in case the appeal by Football Kenya Federation doesn't materialize and probably it hits a snag, what's the way forward? Is it means that Nakumatt and Zoo, their days in top tier numbered?
Well, the teams have to, the clubs, KPL management at Football Kenya Federation need to come up with a solution. They can't get a solution from the courts, as it has already been clear. Different courts have ruled differently in favor of different entities. And so the solution for Kenyan football should come from the stakeholders themselves. Already we've gotten used to the 18-team format, and to return it to a 16-team league will require compromise. KPL have the standing and the backing of the court and the sanctity of a contract to revert the league to a 16-team. But of what benefit when they've already suffered losses in the flight of their broadcast sponsor? So they may not even really contest the existence of 2 extra teams. If KPL maintain that they want to revert to that 16-team format, then they will have their way. Even the Football Kenya Federation appeal, the Court of Appeal will always look at the fundamental document, which is the contract that exists, that legally binds KPL and FKF. And it states clearly that KPL are mandated to run the league, the 16 teams.
To run and manage the league.
Run and manage until 2020. Should there be changes, should FKF want changes in the league, they should communicate to KPL 1 year prior in writing. Then the Joint Executive Committee sit and ratify. But sadly, in that Joint Executive Committee, KPL have an extra vote, the tiebreaker. So if they vote and then they come to a dead end, then KPL has an extra vote to break the tie. It means everything is set for KPL.
Can we now conclude that Kenyan Premier League Limited is the beneficiary after the court ruling? Remember, according to an early arrangement, the top tier to be renamed to Football Kenya Federation Premier League and to be run and managed by the same company, something that didn't come to pass. And you know, we've seen KPL under Ambrose Rachier, Gor Mahia chairman, and KPL, you know, chairman, and Jaco Guda, the KPL CEO, pushing and advocating for 16 league formation. But now it's been ruled that that's the way to go. Are they the biggest winners of this particular decision?
There are no winners. Had this case been expedited back then, KPL would not have lost their broadcast sponsor. Their revenues would still be streaming in. But as it were right now, there is no winner, because either way, SuperSport had left and they are not coming back because now the ruling has been made in favor of KPL. So there is no winner.
So there is no way this move can convince pay TV channel SuperSport to come back and start televising top-tier matches, well, you know, after terminating their contract with KPL over what they termed as violation of contractual terms.
SuperSport, I think, were looking for a way out.
It was a scapegoat.
They were looking for a way out of Kenyan football, and FKF readily gave them one by pushing for expansion of the league, because averagely they broadcast about 130 live matches every year. With the increase of 2 teams, nobody compelled them to increase the number of matches to be aired. They still have aired the same number of matches they broadcast the previous season. But what did they do? They chose to run away. It's like they were looking for a reason, and FKF presented one to them. So they are not coming back.
Of course, it's Spotlight on Sports on Y254. Remember details of what we're discussing right now tomorrow during the touchline on Y254. 12 to 2, Maxwel Wasike alongside Robert Osoro. We want to be taking you through a solid program you don't want to miss. And of course, remember your Saturday afternoon will never be dull and boring if you're staying tuned to the touchline on Y254 every Saturday, 12 to 2. Now, Chan, a tournament meant for local best players, earmarked for early next year, kicking off on 12th of January, a 3-week competition. And remember, Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendwa, PS Sports, Arts and Culture Peter Kaberi alongside Herbert Mwachiro, the event director, are heading to Ghana, Accra, during a Confederation of African Football Committee meeting where Kenya is likely to be announced the host of the tournament. James Magai, Kenya has been castigated of not having well-equipped facilities to host the tourney, saying that probably claims circulating around, especially on social media, saying that South Africa and Morocco are on standby to host the competition in Kenya in case Kenya fails to honor the requirements needed for a country to host the competition. Is Kenya likely to be announced the host of the competition tomorrow in Accra, Ghana? We
are crossing our fingers. We all hope that CAF, against all the barriers they are seeing, would grant Kenya the hosting rights. But as it looks, the last statement that came from CAF indicated that their sponsors were not willing to come to Kenya, do not want to be associated with Kenya during this electioneering period. And that could do us in. Facility-wise, we are lagging behind, and it would take a miracle. I don't know what it would take. Maybe the cabinet approving that 4.2 billion budget would go a long way in assuaging CAF executives in bringing the tournament. But the political situation remains the same, and there is no headway in the stadia constructions. So while we cross our fingers, I'm not very hopeful.
Why is it that plenty of people are so pessimistic about Kenya hosting the championship earmarked for early next year? Kenya successfully hosted IAAF World Under-18 Championships in Kasarani. And Kasarani looks in good shape, looks ready to host the tourney. Probably other venues that are earmarked to host the competition, like Inoru Stadium in Meru, which the government under the new governor, Kiraitu Murungi, has taken an initiative of, doing uplifting and renovation works. Also, probably Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos County, Dr. Alfred Mutua has also taken another step to ensure that the stadium gets renovated and be ready before January. Nyayo National Stadium also, of course, being one of the 5 stadiums that are slated to host the championship. Why this pessimistic tag?
Because besides Kasarani, no other venue is ready. They are not even near that ready. Kasarani itself needs the entire playing surface. That whole pitch has to be scooped off and new grass planted, which will take about 6-8 weeks. The same has to happen in Nyayo, the same has to happen in Kipchoge Keino and Kinoru Stadium. But the sad thing is, while Kasarani, the structure is intact and can accommodate fans, the stands have to be fitted with seats, numbered seats. There are half of Kasarani is fitted with numbered seats, but then the other half has to be filled as well. The same has to happen in Nyayo, the same has to happen in Kinoru and Kipchoge Keino. Machakos has been struck out of the list for CHAN, in case you didn't know, because the Machakos governor has opted to give a different site for new stadia construction. They do not want the Kenyatta Stadium, as it were, to be touched. And CAF cannot host any serious match on that stadium as it looks. So Machakos has been struck off. And if you look at the pictures coming from Kinoru, then they are starting from a scratch. You can't really base much hope on that stadium getting ready before January.
Remember, it's a story that we want to be keeping an eye on and keep you posted with how it pans out. Of course, Confederation of African Special Committee meeting tomorrow in Accra, Ghana, and Football Kenya Federation representative Nick Mwendwa, event director and technical, associate Albert Mashiro, alongside a representative from Ministry of Sports, that is Peter Kaberia, PS, in attendance to ensure that, when Kenya gets to be named the host of the competition, they are present. Of course, remember details of the same on the touchline tomorrow, but away from that to rugby, it's the third leg of the National 7 circuit. 2017, the Driftwoods, the Prince-Lu 7, sorry, I'm so passionate about Driftwood 7s because it was epic in Mombasa. It's the Prince-Lu 7s tournament in Nakuru happening this weekend at the Nakuru Athletic Club. James, of course, a lot of players featuring for the Kenya National 7s team will be featuring for their club's name of Andrew Amonde, the captain, playing for KCB during this particular weekend, and Joshua Chisanga, Newcastle Falcons back row, playing for Homeboys RFC, the series, overall winners for last year, that is 2016, and the holders of Prince-Lu 7s. What do you make of, high-profile players making it to the Prince-Lu 7s? Does it promise fireworks? Patrice Agunda, playing for Queens.
Well, the World Rugby Series are around the corner, and everyone wants to impress Kenya Sevens head coach, Innocent Simiyu. So the only place you can impress the coach is the rugby series. And if you miss it, the coach does not gauge you and cannot even invite you for the Safari Sevens, which will come later. So everyone is working hard. Everyone is trying very much to feature for their clubs and play well and impress, catch the eye of Simiyu and his technical bench for a chance to play for the Sevens team. Remember, last season we had several debutants.
Yes.
And it gave younger players hope of also making the Kenya Sevens team. Everyone wants to play for the Kenya Sevens team. And the vigor with which they feature for their teams in the national circuits is what earns them a call-up. So the likes of Andrew Amonde, nobody is guaranteed a place in the Sevens team. You play well and you earn your space.
You have to impress the technical bench to be named in the national team.
Well,
regardless of your name.
The opening season for Simiyu as Kenya head coach was not very smooth, and he learned his lessons, and he's running to make changes in this team. So he has sounded out warnings to everybody. You have to play well to earn a place in his team. That is why the fight for the fight in the circuit is that intense.
Remember, as far as the pooling is concerned, Kabeberi Sevens champions, that is Impala Saracens, are seeded and will take on Nakuru RFC, and Oscar Uma, the player of the national team, will also be making it for the Nakuru RFC, aka Wanyore. Black Blood of Kenyatta University are also in Pool A alongside Nantes in what is likely to be the group of death. Group B has Mount Kenya University, that is Thika campus, which was just promoted to top Division 1, and it also has Mombasa RFC, Western Bulls also included in that particular group. Menengai Oilers, who sit on top after reaching Kabeberi Sevens final and in Pool B alongside Queens, Mwamba and Western Bulls. Strathmore Leos headline Pool C and will play Homeboys Mean Machine of University of Nairobi, graduating today, and probably it will be a special present for those players graduating today, and they feature for their team tomorrow. And Mombasa RFC and Cabras RFC are in Pool D with KCB Catholic Monks and MK Youth. And now away from that, it's the Concours de Logans, 47th edition of the event that is the classiest on the motorsport calendar. Slated for Sunday 24th at the Ngong Racecourse. Several entries from TZ, Uganda, and even from international friend confirmed participation. James Magai, what are you looking forward to during the Concours de Logans?
Well, Concours de Elegance has always been about elegance, machine elegance, and the pretty ladies in those majestic dresses.
Sure.
So
what are you trying to insinuate? That now that I had opted for Nakuru Athletic Club during Prince Sevens, I should shelve my interest and attend Concours?
Well, it depends on where your loyalties
With
lie.
your interest.
Yes. But we've had interesting entries from Southern Africa, Zimbabwe, and in keeping with their tradition, the organizers are saying everything is set, and we hope it will be an improvement of what it's been improving every season, and I'm hoping this season it will be even better.
And we had organizers and drivers that have confirmed taking part in the event over the weekend and said that they quashed the stereotype about Concours, saying that it's not meant for punky people and everyone can, make his way or her way to Ngong Racecourse and attend the event. I don't know, from your own assessment of covering the event, having vast experience in sports journalism, what do you think? Do you agree with them? Or you don't read from the same script with them?
I don't know what you mean by punky people, but I know the elegance exhibited there intimidates a section of the populace. So you just make your pick. If you're a football fan, you go to the stadium. If you're a rugby fan, you head to Nakuru. If you're a vintage person and an enthusiast of motorsport, then you'll definitely find your way to Ngong Racecourse. Normally, Kenyans of all walks of life attend from different races, and it all depends, like I said, it all depends on where your interests lie. Somebody would not miss watching his club play in Nakuru. Somebody wants just to see the vehicle that was shipped from South Africa to take part in that event. And it's a nice setting for family outing. It's a good day to take your family out and just enjoy the opulence and the elegance.
So James Magai is trying to say that some of us who are all-weather and multi-purpose will have a hard time exercising choice, considering that there are plenty of options over the weekend. Kenyan Premier League in action, the Prince Sevens at the Nakuru Athletic Club, and even Concours de Logans, 47th edition, slated for this Sunday at the Ngong Racecourse. I want to be seeking some advice from some people to give me guidance on which event to attend. And remember, you can win yourself ticket in case you correctly respond to some questions we want to be asking you tomorrow during the touchline from 12 to 2. And in case you answer correctly, then you win yourself a ticket, a complimentary ticket to help you attend the event on Sunday at the Ngong Racecourse. And now, away from that, moving on to what looks like it's the final segment on our show, it's international football. Diego Costa, it's done, it's over. He's headed back to Atletico Madrid, where he came from, joining Chelsea, and he said that there's no animosity between him and his manager Antonio Conte, whom I accused before of having written him an SMS telling him that he's not in his plans for this season at the Chelsea Football Club, as even they seek probably to defend their title they bagged last year. What do you think?
Well, Antonio Conte and Diego Costa had run-ins from the beginning of the season, from the beginning of last season. They are both explosive characters, and one of them was bound to leave. Unfortunately, the love-hate relationship ended sourly and played out in the public eye. But it's a good move back for him to Atletico, where he came from. Although down there's another explosive coach in Diego Simeone, who apparently knows how to manage Costa. Costa is a good striker, prolific, and a goal getter. And I don't know what staying idle for 6 months will do to him. He may not just get straight into the Atletico team, as it were, because of non-action for 6 months. It's a long time since he last featured.
Sure. What do you think about the international football generally, as far as European leagues are concerned, and several fixtures lined up this particular weekend? Your team seems like, it is started doing well after the earlier thrashing. That's Arsenal Football Club, the team I'm talking about, after failing to qualify for UEFA Champions League football. And, we want to be participating in Europa League after 20 years. What are you looking forward to over the weekend as far as fixtures in various European leagues are concerned?
Well, Real Madrid stumbled in Spain with Ronaldo back. I expect them to bounce back this weekend. Barcelona on a roll. After last season's disappointments, they've really got off the blocks, and they are determined to pick some silverware this season, and they look destined to doing that. Although on the flip side, they've lost Dembele through injury. He'll be out for 3 months, but that will not impede them. They have Gerard Deulofeu to fill in for him, and I don't think Real Madrid will catch up with them for the La Liga crown. In England, the two Manchester clubs look like they've already run away with the title. It's going to be a Manchester versus Manchester.
Is it not too early to tip them as favourites to clinch the title?
Considering the number of goals they are scoring and the number of goals they are conceding, there's no match to them. Arsenal are two different teams, with Ozil and without Ozil. With Ozil, we've seen them getting thrashed and playing like they are few on the field. Without Arsenal, we saw them giving a fight against Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge. So as much as they may find their footing and return back to Champions League positions, the title is beyond them at this point.
The title is beyond them, according to James Magai, writing for The People. Remember, you can catch his articles in the People newspaper of Media Max. He's just joining me on set to dissect about local and international sports. Of course, remember, he's also the Deputy President of Sports Journalists Association of Kenya. Spotlight on Sports every Monday and Friday from 8 a.m. with a culmination, a solid program marked for weekend. That is Saturday, touchline 12 to 2. Soro Robert wanna be with me to dissect about whatever is happening in the world of sports and across all sporting disciplines. Berlin Marathon lined up for this weekend. Expectations as we wind up?
Well, we expect Eliud Kipchoge to break the world record again. We expect it to be a very fast race, considering that Kenenisa Bekele is in the fray, and Wilson Kipsang is also in the fray. On the women list, we have Gladys Cherono, the only Kenyan on the list.
Yes.
But all focus is on the men who have vowed to attack the world record. And going by the previous number of records that have been broken on that Berlin course, I think the record will be lowered again this Sunday.
Maxwel Wasike is my name, and of course, enjoy the rest of your viewing and have a great weekend ahead. Remember, it's a sporting weekend, the Kenyan Premier League, the Driftwood Sevens at the Nakuru Athletic Club, the Concord Elegance 47th edition at the Ngong Racecourse. So you can exercise choice on which event you want to be attending. But for us, let's meet tomorrow during the touchline 12 to 2. My name is Maxwel Wasike. Have an amazing day and bless.